How's everyone's week been? I can't believe it's Wednesday. Hello!
Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look at your backdrop compared to mine. That is ridiculous.
It's just so warm right now here. That's why I'm just like staying outside. Inside it's even warmer.
I cannot cope. Look at the gorgeousness.
Oh, it's quite nice here. It's really beautiful. Can you see? It's
That's
like
mad. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Okay, for everyone that's joining, before we get started properly, do you want to introduce yourself just a tiny little bit, and tell us a wee bit about you?
yeah. Hi guys. I'm Niko. I am originally from Germany, but I live in London, and I've just tried to make my life come true being in musicals, and somehow made it. Luckily, happened. Like,
Amazing.
um,
Amazing.
I'm just
Um,
yeah.
I mean, first off, you better tell everyone where you are because obviously you're not in the UK right now.
I'm in Turks and Caicos, so I'm in the Caribbean since like 6 months or something, just waiting here until everything reopens again, and then let's see what's gonna happen then.
Oh gosh. Is it I mean, you're gonna make me more jealous than I already am, but is it as amazing as it looks? Is it
Beautiful. I mean, Turks and Caicos is just an absolute stunning island. I've never been here before, and it's my first time here, and I was just supposed to be here for 3 weeks, but then everything went into lockdown everywhere, and then I decided I'm just gonna stay here.
what made you choose there? Why were you over there in the first place? Are you allowed to even tell us?
Oh god. Actually, oh god, I'm just gonna say it, guys. I mean, it's just like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're just gonna be honest here. I just went over here on a date. Somebody messaged me on Instagram and
Shut.
asked if you want to go on a date,
Shut
and
up.
I was like, not sure if I should go on a date across the world with somebody that I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it.
You
So I
are
went,
joking me.
and then I'm.
Wait,
Yeah.
so where are you in London? You went all the way from London
I
for a
was in
date?
Portugal at that point. So I was in Portugal visiting my sister because she lives there with her husband, who's Portuguese.
Okay.
And then in Portugal, and then I was like, yeah. And then he started messaging me on Instagram, and then asked me if I want to come on a date to Turks and Caicos.
Wait. You need to spill more tea on this. More tea needs to be spilled. How did the date go? Are you guys still together? Are you still dating?
Yeah, he's just doing the garden here, so we're still together. It's been like 5, 6 months now.
You are joking me.
Oh my gosh, and there's so many nice people messaging. I miss you, Laura. Some of my
That is the
friends are messaging right now
best
too.
thing ever. What a good date. And now you're
And
just living in this gorgeous country. Oh, how wonderful. Um, well, anyway, let's talk about some performing things. So let's go way back to the start. Let's talk about training and life at Ardang. What was that like? Um, what do you remember about the audition process?
I mean, for me, it was so strange because I wanted to study medicine, and everything in my school time, I went towards medicine, and I never really took a professional dance class or anything like that. But I always liked dancing, and I always enjoyed it, but I was never in a professional dance class before. And then when I was 21, I had to make a decision what I'm gonna do now. And then I was originally then applying for like medicine universities and stuff and everything, and going into biochemistry. And then somebody in my village told me about that college called Erding, and they were like, oh, they do a little bit of commercial hip hop dancing. You might like it. And I was like, should I just audition for it? And then, then they were like, yeah, just do it. And then I just auditioned for it, and suddenly I got in. I was in the last audition, so in like July or something, and they suddenly told me at the end of the day, they were like, look, we want you. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you being for real right now? And they were like, yeah. And I never sang in my life before either. And they told me to come in and prepare a song, a musical theater song. And I was like, I don't know what to prepare. And I had only like 3-4 days to prepare something. And so I bought the Glee book, and I sang a song from a Glee book. And I was like, what's musical theater? And then I checked, and I was like, Don't Rain on My Parade from Barbra Streisand. I was like, great. I sang that song with no idea what to do vocally, how to
That is
sing it.
brilliant.
Yeah, and then it was just very, very spontaneous. I remember calling my mum on one of the red buses. So that was my first time in London as well. And I called her and I was like, Mum, I just want to let you know. And she had a big speech prepared. She was like, look, son, I'm so proud of you for even trying. I know, when you tried, and that's the most important thing, and don't worry and stuff, you're going to get something else. And I told her, I was like, no, Mom, I actually got in. And she was like, what? I was like, I got in? And she was like, no, like, I can't pay for this. And I was like, I got 100% scholarship. And then that was it. And then my mom was so supportive, and I was like, what should I do? And she was like, scrap the rest, just do it and just enjoy your life, live your life. And if that doesn't work out, then you can always go back to doing something with biology or chemistry. And it was just such like a crazy, like, my whole life just suddenly turned around, and suddenly I started doing ballet and jazz and tap and all these things that I've never done before. And it was just
That
like
is
crazy.
so brilliant.
Yeah. And I auditioned in
Oh,
something around like June, July. And so I had to move to London in around August, I remember, as far as I remember it.
yeah.
And then just my whole life just changed from one day to the other. It was crazy.
That is brilliant. I've never heard someone change so drastically to, yes, I'm going to go study medicine, to, never mind, I'm actually going to go and do musical theatre instead.
Yeah, but I'm also the first person in my family that went into that direction. I think we enjoyed art, and my family enjoyed like music and stuff, but nobody ever went that direction, if that makes sense. So I'm like the pioneer basically. So it
Good
was
for
really
you.
crazy. I just didn't grew up in that world, and Erding, Erding was just incredible. I remember the first year I had a lot of problems, and I didn't know where to fit in. I didn't understand everything, and then obviously I also had my girlfriend, and then I realized I was gay, and it was like my whole first year at Erding was just like crazy. And I remember I nearly left as well because it was just too much pressure for me, and I just felt like I didn't fit in. But then I grew obviously as well as a person. I grew as a performer and as a dancer, and Erding just really pushed me, especially Paul Hack and Lindsay, they were really, really supportive of me, and they really, really pushed me all the time. And they told me that I can do it. And that's, I think, the most important thing. That's you have people behind you that do believe in you. And I remember my mom came for the first time to London on my first year summer show, and she watched me be on stage, and she was like, oh my gosh, what's happening here right now? It was crazy. And my mom is always so funny. I could literally be with the best performers, singers, and dancers on stage, and I could have my both legs broken, both arms broken, but she would still be like, oh my gosh, were the best one on stage. She'd be crying.
That's so nice. Oh, bless her. Although that's I feel like that's just a typical mum thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you could be absolutely rubbish and your mum would be crying and be like, "You were brilliant." But that's the best thing about them. Best
Yeah.
thing. So I had a little. I hope you don't mind, but I had a little dig about. I've been trying to get my interview skills up, so I've got like a little notepad and I've been like trying to find
Yeah.
out things about you. So from looking at your spotlight,
Yeah.
I can see that your first stage musical gig was West Side Story back
Yeah.
in 2013. So, as
That was
that,
college.
say it again.
So I remember I got the job while we were rehearsing for Move It, and that's when they told me you got West Side Story, and I was actually in the Move It rehearsal, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, I got West Side Story. And then the whole year was just like screaming, and it was like crazy. And then I instantly went into West Side Story after I graduated, so that was really, really good. I was very happy, very glad.
So, what was the obviously with you still have been studying at the time? Like, what was the whole process like? What was it like? Trying to continue your studies, but also auditioning for like these massive shows.
It
Was
was
it hard?
it was definitely a hard time, just because when you're studying, also you are so focused on on what you have to do in your study, because we were also in the midst of the music theater final shows, and we had so much to learn. But then at the same time, you were auditioning, which means you had to learn like songs, you had to learn acting pieces, you had to learn choreography, and it was. And you were not never you never audition for just like one show. You audition for like 4 or 5
Yeah.
shows, which you have to remember all 5 choreographies and songs that you have to prepare. And I was put up for Chino, so I was Chino in West Side Story, which means I had
Ooh,
dialogue and I had songs to learn, and it was definitely a hard time for sure.
brilliant. That's so good. I mean, obviously no better time to get that news when you're surrounded by all your friends, because they would have just erupted with you and been so happy
Yeah,
for you.
I was really
So that's
happy.
so lovely. Um, Moving on from West Side Story, you have been in The Bodyguard, Aladdin, making your West End debut. Congratulations. Then most recently in Prince of Egypt. Um, I've seen Prince of Egypt. It was great. I just saw someone saying we saw Niko in Aladdin musical. He was such an incredible performer. The chorus and all the dancers in the show really enhanced that immersive storytelling. So everybody loved it. But talking about being in a show when COVID hit. So what was kind of going through your head? Did you think it was just going to be like, oh, did you think you were just going to get like 2 weeks off or something? Or,
It was very strange because I remember that in Germany, because obviously my family's from Germany, I have friends in Germany, and I remember that they were all went into lockdown, and I kept telling my people in England, I was like, guys, Europe goes into lockdown, and I don't understand what's going on here right now. And my mom kept telling me, why are you still going to work? And I was like, Mom, in England everything is still open, so we have to go to work, we still have to do our things. And then I kind of felt like it was coming to that point. And then it was just, we came in on Monday and we did warm up, we did talked about, even after warm up, we had rehearsals for talking about how the show goes in the evening. And suddenly everybody was on stage, and they told us what's happening in the West End and that we are closing. And it was very, very strange. It was a weird feeling because we didn't know when we're going to go back. And some people, obviously, it was a whole of speculation. So some people were like, oh my gosh, we're going to come back in a few months. It's going to be cute because we're just going to have a little bit of holiday, not realizing what's actually happening right now in the
yeah,
world. And I think but nobody could really grasp that. Whichever profession you were in, I think nobody could grasp the expand of this, what will happen or what's going to happen. And I mean, it's been on the 16th of March. So it was last week, wasn't it? It's been a year
it's been a
since
year.
and it was crazy, like, to think that, and to think if we, I mean, we are planning to reopen in July, which I'm very, very
Yeah,
so
I have
excited.
that written down. That was one of my
Yeah.
next questions.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't be
We've
silly.
so long. We've been so excited to go back, and it's also crazy because we just opened for 3 weeks, so we were all still in that bubble, in that
Yeah,
exciting. Gosh, we uh, we just started the show. We rehearsed for so long, and we're finally on stage. We're in front of the audience, and you haven't even. Yes, you had a routine, but it took a while, though. It took a
yeah,
while for the routine, obviously, to hit in, and it was probably like after 2.5 weeks, you kind of get some sort of routine, but then we already closed down. So it was.
yeah.
Right now, we are obviously all stressing, also because we have to. Oh, sorry, this is a car. But we are, it's gonna be hard also for the people to just go back, and we just go straight into rehearsals, and then we open the show after like 2-3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah,
Remember as well that all these musicals, the West End, all these shows had to pay so much money to keep that show going, even though
yeah,
there's no right now.
yeah.
There's no income with any shows. The shows had to keep paying rent. The shows has to keep the production being paid, and it's a lot of money that they're losing. So they also can't give us a huge amount of rehearsals because that's just financially not possible for any
No,
show. And so it's going to just be like a quick go into the theater, let's rehearse this, and then put the show on
show on.
stage in a couple of weeks, which is going to be hard for a lot of us because most of us haven't danced for so long, or haven't sang for so long, and going through all the harmonies, going through
I
all the dance.
mean, I have seen the show. I know how many sideways leg tilts there is in it. Don't know how many. I...
The choreographer, Sean Cheeseman, who's one of the most incredible choreographers you can ever work with. I mean, he has choreographed for Britney, for Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Whitney. He worked with so many of the incredible people, and it's just his visions are just incredible. The way he, the amazing thing about Prince of Egypt is that I didn't just learn a track. it didn't came over from Broadway and I learned a track that was already set before. Prince of Egypt, we originated it, which means we were workshopping and how we can do the pieces and how the show is going to be puzzled together. And so Sean Cheeseman let us be quite free and let us be creative as well, which I thought was beautiful because it gives us dancers a chance to be a little bit more creative and have some sort of input into it. And so it was amazing. It was such a different experience to all the other musicals that I've had before.
This is one of my next questions. So in terms of everything that you've been in before, what has been your favourite to be part of? What's been the one that's stuck with you most?
I mean, that is so difficult. I think each is very different to their own, because West Side Story was my first musical straight after college. So it was very, because I always feel like I remember just that day when I got that call and I was like, I can't believe that I actually got something after college, because I thought, oh my gosh, if that doesn't happen, then I have to go back to Germany. Then after West Side Story, when I got Bodyguard, it was funny because I didn't actually realize where I was auditioning for. I knew it was Bodyguard, but I thought it was in the West End or on the UK tour, and suddenly I got to the final and they were like, you got the job, like after like one audition, and it was in Germany. Very special as well, because it was in Germany. It's my home country, and so a lot of my friends and my family who were not able to come to London were able to see me perform in Germany. So that was very special to me too. And Aladdin was my first West End job. So that means obviously also it's very different because West Side Story was more ballet. Bodyguard was very commercial. Musical theater, jazz, and then you had like what's it called, and then Prince of Egypt, which is the original cast, obviously, which I've never done before either, which means the world to me. It's very African beat, contemporary, lyrical. So
it's very flowy and
so different. Like I can't even compare them, and I'm grateful to have been in all 4 shows in a way.
I mean, you're having a great career and you're only young, so the only way is up. You are young.
I'm not in my 20s anymore.
Okay, but that's still young.
It's so strange because obviously in my when I always say like, oh my gosh, I feel so old and like I'm like dying. It's because I understand that in a normal world I'm not old, but in the performance world it's quite difficult, because every year when I compete, the people are getting younger and younger. And so when even now in Aladdin, there's now in Prince of Egypt, there's people that call me grandpa. So the other dancers call me grandpa because I'm the oldest one. Some of them are 12 years younger than me. 12 years. There's one that's 18.
Oh my God.
And I think 24. So they're all very, very young, and I'm the oldest one. So I'm always like, come on.
Oh my gosh.
And it's difficult also because I can feel it. I know that I'm 31, and 31 is not like the most excruciating old age. But to kick your leg when you're in your 20s is different than when you're in your 30s. I used to just kick my leg and it just goes up on both sides. Now I warm up for like 20 minutes, and even then I'm like, oh, can I kick it? Oh no, let's warm up.
Will it go up there?
Yeah, exactly. So I remember there was one point in Aladdin as well where we had to like do a penché down, but as we penché, we had to keep our back up. But
back up. Yeah.
Anymore. I was just like,
so are you intending to return to Prince of Egypt in July?
Yes.
For sure.
I'm still them. I mean, please don't fire me.
No, I just didn't know if you had other plans or if there was something else in the pipeline, but we're still planning to go back.
No, we are still contracted with them. So once it opens, we're gonna go back, and I'm really excited because I just love the show, and I'm so excited to see my Prince of Egypt family again.
Yeah, it was so nice to see them after all this time.
Yeah, and it's I think with a lot of shows, or what have changed as well, is that problem, that thing that they announce something on Twitter and stuff before they have told the cast. I think that's really, really rude, and it's really rude to the performers. And Prince of Egypt have always been amazing so far. Every single time, like they're like, guys, we're gonna have another Zoom call. We have an announcement, or like, guys, we every month, even if there's not a big announcement, every month they have a Zoom call with us just to check up on us, how we are and how we are doing, and if everything's okay with us. And they also always giving us information if we need some mental support, where we can get that. And I have to say, like, that company has been an absolute dream so far to work with. And I mean, we've only been together for 3 weeks, but this pandemic has really shown me that I truly love that company, and I hope that we are going to go back soon.
Brilliant. Quick last question on like performing and things like that before we move on. What is your dream role or dream production to be in?
Ooh, oh, that's very, very difficult. I think I've kind of done already so much, and I'm very, very, I love my work, and I have achieved so much. It comes to a point now where I'm like, I kind of want to find my plan B. I would love to be more on the creative side. So even if let's say Prince of Egypt or whatever wants to tour somewhere else, I would love to be part of building it, perhaps.
Okay.
On the creative side. Other than that, I just would love to build a family and be a dad, find a husband, and then yeah.
Oh.
And I could even, like, I don't mind like opening my own dance school or going into that direction wherever my husband will be. Basically, I just follow.
Fair.
Because yeah, I don't mind. Oh, here, yeah. So I don't really mind that. So it's for me. Yeah, I'm at that point. I think everybody needs to realize as well that you can always go for music and theater is very good, because even when you're older, you can still be part of the acting team, and I think you can find musicals that are not that strenuous. Is that the word?
Strenuous. Yeah.
Strenuous body. So I think you can go quite old as a music and theater person, which is good. And so for me, I would love to be part more of the creative side now, because I feel like I'm getting to that part where it's starting to be like, okay, my body is kind of breaking. I am getting old, and I would love to be part of the judges, just sitting there and judging everybody.
Yes. Other side of I mean, we'll tell you, everyone that runs this profile will tell you it's great being on the other side of the table. You can just sit back and be like, can you kick that leg any higher? Can you belt any higher? Can you do it? Rather than having to do it yourself. It's great. It's wonderful. Let's cover some of the quick questions in the comments. Georgie asked, have you done much international touring? If so, what's the biggest difference in international stage show tours and the UK?
I've only done Germany, so I've only been to Cologne in Germany, and it was an incredible experience. I've done a UK tour, and that was very different as well to West End and being stationed in one place like in Germany, because the UK tour. So in UK tours, you have to find your own accommodation, and that is very difficult. Oh my God, it was so stressful. And every week and every 2 weeks we were moving, and so you had to find a new place to stay. So that was very hard. And international tours, it's much easier because they provide everything for you and they work everything out. So that was great. Internationally wise, as I said, I've only done Germany, and for me it was incredible because I was back in my home country, and my friends and my family were able to see me, and they are very, yes, it just works very differently, I think, in each country, I would say. Because in Germany, you don't have something like the West End, where it's just one place where you have a lot of musicals. In Germany, you have in each city 2 or 1 musical. So it's very sporadic. So just imagine it's very different to England, I would say.
England, yeah. And somebody else asked about your tattoo. Did you cry when you got your tattoo?
Oh yeah, I just got it yesterday.
How is it?
The second skin is still on it.
It's lovely.
This is my mum, and this is my sister, and that's my brother here.
Oh, so that's lovely.
Yeah, all 3 of them got tattoos, or all the other 2 got tattoos already as well. And then I was like, I'm the last one in the family that hasn't had a tattoo, and I was always scared of it. And now I'm like, let's just do it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Okay, let's talk about that elephant in the room. Let's move right on firmly. Oh wait, I've got one more question beforehand. Let's talk a wee bit about I Am Niko, the I Am Niko campaign. and why you decided that something like that is so important.
I mean, I was running back then for Mr. Gay Germany, and then went to Mr. Gay Europe to representing Germany. And each of us had like created a campaign that would help the LGBT community, and it was such an incredible experience because these guys that are competing have such incredible ideas to help the LGBT community, because we grew so much, I think, in the 5-6 years. In the 5-6 years, the LGBT community has been so much more accepted, and it's been so much more talked about. And especially I think in England, what I've realized that it becomes more part of the education, which I think is beautiful, because it shouldn't just be always mom and dad. It can also be mom and dad, and it just needs to be more normalized, I would say.
Absolutely.
And the I'm Niko campaign, why I did that is because I was really, really badly bullied in school. And I hated school. It was like the worst time. I always kept home crying, and the boys would always make fun of me in front of everybody in the class and would pick on me on the playground. And I had a really, really hard time. Like, the school time was really horrible, and they always called me fam. They always called me faggot and all these horrible words in German. It was just awful. Like, I truly hated it. And for the I'm Niko campaign, what I did was going to schools and talking about it. It wasn't about it. I tried to do it in a different way. So basically, instead of going to a school and saying like, guys, you need to accept the LGBT community, you need to accept people that are gay, it would instantly single out the one person that people might feel that he's gay. So if I would sit in a class and people make fun of me of being gay, and somebody walks in and said, you need to be accepted with gay people, instantly I feel like the whole class would look at me. And so instead of doing that, I went around it and said, what makes you different to everybody else? And show them that everybody's individual, everybody's different, and there's nobody that is the same in this world, and that we need to learn to love the differences in the world, and that we need to learn to love the colors and the diversity, because how boring would it be if everybody would just be the same?
How boring?
And that way, I'm not singling out the gay person in the class, but I'm making everybody realize how beautiful it is that everybody in this class is different, and there's different beliefs in the world if it comes to different religions, and it's so beautiful. It shouldn't be something that we should shun, and shouldn't be something that we should feel ashamed of to be different. And so I think that was my campaign, basically what it was about.
Well, it was a wonderful campaign. That's why I wanted to touch on it. Okay, let's move on finally to the elephant in the room, things that we are dying to ask you about. RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Let's just drop that name right in there. Like, how did that even come about? What was the process like?
I mean, they just met on Instagram, and were like an agency in Instagram, and was like, do you want to, we would love to invite you to the casting for the Brit Crew of RuPaul's Drag Race. I can't even say it, RuPaul's Drag Race. And I messaged my friends, and I was like, what's the Pit Crew? And they were all going crazy, and they were like, Niko, it's RuPaul's Drag Race. I was like, I've never watched it. And they were like, Niko, you need to go. It's incredible. And so I went to the casting, and suddenly I got it. And that was it. And then I watched, I think it was season 12 at that point.
Okay.
And I quickly watched it just to realize like what's going on here. I just treat it as a normal casting when I go to any TV show or whatever. So I think one of the reasons why I got it is because I wasn't as stressed as all the other boys, because I didn't know anything about the show. And so I just went there, I got the job, booked the job, make sure that I know what it's about, and then go for it. And it was crazy because I am so glad and happy that I got it and that I did it. And I think it was great that a person like me who never watched it got it, because it made me realize what the drag world is about. And it was never really that crazy. I didn't know much about the drag world. And for me, it was, just an eye-opener. And I think that's what the whole show is about. RuPaul's Drag Race is about putting stories out there, it's a platform for drag queens to tell their stories, and also make people realize how, I mean, it is obviously a competition, but at the same time, it's very hard to know what they're actually going through, what they've been through in their life. And I think that's what's so incredible about RuPaul's Drag Race, because it's finally a platform for everybody in the world to see, wow, they are actually, they're not just like prancing around on stage in costumes. Like, first of all, they are costume creators. They're in a musical, there's about 5 departments, and they are 5 departments in one person.
Yeah.
Creative, they're performers, they are creating their own costumes, they are designing their costumes, they are
They're creating like a whole persona for themselves, like, and
yeah,
that in itself is just so, like, who would even think of, I mean, a drag name in itself takes me hours. Like, I'm like, what would my
yeah,
drag name be? It's
yeah.
just, you just think about it for hours and they just come up with it like that. It's just so off the bat.
And
Just
it's
amazing.
just being on being on TV and having to talk freely and stuff. It's so difficult, and they just have to do everything. They
Yeah.
literally have to do everything, and it's. I remember being at DragCon, and it was the first time. It was crazy because I've never even heard of DragCon. I didn't know what it was about, and I got to that exhibition, and it was, I mean, thousands of like fans and drag kings and drag queens, and what I realized is that the drag world, the RuPaul's drag world, is what the world should be, in my opinion. Because in the world, it seems like it seems like people want us to be the same. People want us to be, look, this is how the norm should be. You are a man, you should be you should be being like a man.
Manly and yeah.
A woman, you should act like a woman. And don't be different. And in RuPaul, in the, not RuPaul's world, but in the drag world, they celebrate when somebody's different, when somebody's
Yeah.
really quirky, when somebody has an amazing like gown on and looks so different to everybody else. They celebrate it, and that's what I love about it. I just love that celebration of being different, and again, that celebration of being unique, and instead of, nobody should feel ashamed of that. And even like,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what I love about RuPaul's world and RuPaul's family. And also RuPaul was just she was so incredible. I really loved her, and she was so kind and so sweet, very, very, like, she knew what she was doing once she got on set. Like, it was very much like when she was on set, she was on work mode, and it was incredible to see how she does it. Like, it was incredible. I
Yeah.
really love
Um, someone has asked, Georgie has asked, I didn't want to ask too much of a prying question, but what did the casting audition involve? I think he's trying to ask, was it like, did you go into a room and they were like, right, get your kit off?
No, it
Pretty
was,
much.
you got like a normal audition. Like, they asked us to come with 4 people in the room, and then they asked us questions and
Oh,
us, and yeah, that was basically it. And then we had to present ourselves, and they asked us a few questions, what's about our lives and stuff. And it was very, very, it was very, yeah. And what I loved as well about the UK version was, especially season 1, is that they took a very diverse group of boys.
yes.
It was very, very diverse. It wasn't just like one type. It was very diverse, and I loved it. And I loved my boys. Like, they were amazing to work with. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was just one of the best experiences that I had.
Yeah. Um, Tom has asked, what would your drag name be?
Oh, I don't know. I've never done it. I always wanted to try it out, but I've never ever done it. Never.
But you would need to shave all the stubble. You would need to, or
Since the lockdown, I've never had stubble in my life before, and then I used this beard rolling kit for like 7 months, and now I got like stubble here. I'm very proud of myself growing up.
see, you couldn't shave it then. You couldn't do it. Um, so who was your favourite drag queen from this series then?
Oh, that was hard. I mean, first
I
of
mean,
all,
remember I'm from Glasgow.
but you have to also remember, though, we were not allowed to speak to the queens.
Oh, you weren't?
No, we weren't allowed to speak to them because we couldn't help them.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, in the green challenge that I did, one of the drag queens, she wanted us to be one of us a nun dancer and the other one a dancer. And she chose me to be the nun dancer and Matt to be the dancer because she didn't know that I was a professional dancer and he was a nun dancer. So we weren't allowed to never speak to them or anything because we were not allowed to give them any help at any point. These queens, whoever were on there, they are all working from nothing. Like, they are working so hard. And even like, yeah, that was one of the reasons like we were never ever allowed to speak to them because it could help them in some
Yeah.
challenge. And it was
Okay.
for me, I never spoke to them, but I love them all. I mean, Vivian is just so, everything about her was just, she was so already formed and shaped. I feel like she really did everything just like, there was never like a bad spot that she did or anything.
Yeah.
Everything she did was amazing. I love Bag of Chips was just funny. I mean, she's just hilarious. She's hilarious. And Divina De Campo was just, she just brings so much light into a room. It's like, it's so difficult because I truly loved all the queens and they were very, very unique in their own ways.
Yeah. Well, from saying you've never seen it before, this might blow this next question out of the water. But who is your favourite drag queen of all time?
About who?
Who's your favourite drag queen of all time?
Of all time? Oh my gosh, that's so hard because I never really watched it.
That's it.
I really, oh my gosh, that's a really hard question. I mean, there's so many that I love. For example, in Aquarius. Aquarius.
Tom is the drag. Tom, who will be watching as our drag race expert, so
Okay.
he can confirm. I'm not sure of an Aquarius, but it's a great drag name. Someone you should take it.
But I thought she was incredible. That was the season that I watched.
Oh, Jade said Aquaria.
Knew it. That was it.
That's Jade.
It was incredible. I was like, Aquarius, something with aqua. I remember that.
Aquaria.
I love. Oh my gosh, there's just so many that I think were incredible. I remember that I just always watched certain clips from it, like on YouTube, and I just there's many that I love.
Do you know who Bianca Del Rio is?
I mean, she's just funny. She's hilarious. I watched like loads of like like compilation stuff, and oh my gosh, she was hilarious. She did. I remember meeting her as well in the West End because she was in a musical next to us, and Jamie,
yeah,
an amazing like presence, and she's just so open and funny, and I loved her.
I think that RuPaul season 6, which was obviously Bianca's series, I think that was where RuPaul was like absolute peak. They had so many incredible little drag queens in that season. So if you haven't watched season 6, I would highly recommend it.
Okay. I remember always telling me, they were like, Niko, you need to watch season 6. Everybody always said that.
See, you need to watch it.
Season 6.
Season 6. Tom said, yes, I would love a German version of RuPaul.
They started something like that, which was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was with Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum was the RuPaul. It was basically Heidi Klum. And it was very different. I remember that it was a couple of years ago when they started it. It was very different, but it was very, very good because Germany has so many incredible drag queens. I mean, drag queens are all over the world. It's all over. Not just like in English-speaking countries. Like it's all over. And they have amazing drag queens. In Cologne, there's so many incredible drag queens that are just incredible.
Gosh, that sounds amazing. Well, that's me all out of questions. If anyone else has any questions, please get them in super quick before we round things off. But are you doing anything else for the rest of your day? Because it's obviously still daytime for you guys.
Yeah, it's 4:45 here.
What are you having for dinner? You doing anything nice?
I'm usually the cook for dinner and like see what's gonna happen.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and have a little chat with us. It's been wonderful. And I hope to see you again in Prince of Egypt in July, and I hope to chat to you again soon. But thank you so much, Niko. It's been lovely.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.